Hey everyone, Kuro the Artist here. Warner Bros. Has recently announced the upcoming game MultiVersus, a crossover fighting game developed by Player First Games. The game will include various characters from Warner Bros. Properties like Superman, Bugs Bunny, and Steven Universe. It is scheduled for release in 2022 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. I've recently began a campaign using the hashtag Ben10for Multiverses alongside a few edits to help get the ball rolling, and so far it's resulted in a fair amount of support, and I'd like to thank everyone involved for helping this campaign while still being respectful to the Multiversus budding community and the developers of the game. Remember, be vocal, but respectful. Ben 10 would be a fantastic addition to the game and a phenomenal milestone for the franchise. Ben 10 is one of Cartoon Network's longest running and most successful properties, and is currently in the top 100 highest grossing media franchises of all time, surpassing legacies like Sonic the Hedgehog, Naruto, X-Men, and the entire DCEU. With the amount of love and support fans have been showing for Ben 10's inclusion in the game lately, I would even go as far as to say it would be a mistake not to include Ben 10 in MultiVersus at this point. However, I always like to play devil's advocate, and I believe the biggest case against Ben 10's inclusion in the game would be how to incorporate Ben actually using his aliens in the game. With every other character, developers typically only have to worry about creating one character model and building their moves from there, sans a few special moves and of course alternate skins. The entire point of Ben 10 is the fact that he can turn into 10 aliens at minimum, which all have completely different appearances, abilities, even sizes. It'd be foolish to overlook such a large hurdle to overcome when campaigning for this character if we don't even know how it would work. Does this mean the developers are going to have to create all of these different aliens, each with their own unique moves? How about transforming? How's that gonna work? And once we start thinking about alternative costumes and even voice actors, yeah, I can see how the plausibility of actually making Ben 10 playable may lead the developers to turn away from the idea regardless of how much support we give it. While a simple solution would be to only include one alien and make that alien the playable character, and any additional aliens would be their own character slot, that kinda defeats the nature of Ben 10, which is about transforming. In a weird example, it would be like wanting to play as Batman, but instead only getting to play as a Batarang. It's just one part of the whole package. Although, asking them to create a ton of aliens with different powers and a whole transformation mechanic to use them is asking way too much, especially since this game is free to play, in case you didn't already know. So is there a middle ground? Well, I certainly like to think so, and that's what this video will be about. Although, I must admit, we don't currently know exactly how the controls and mechanics of this game works. While it is pretty clear that the fighting style will be in a similar vein as Nintendo's Smash Bros., I'm confident there will be deviations, as other games that follow a similar guideline like Brawlhalla and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl have their own unique mechanics and deviations. Undoubtedly, MultiVersus will be no different, so I can only go as far as speculate how the game will work. However, I truly believe the solutions I developed will work for the game, and are flexible enough that no matter what the specific controls for the game end up being, you could incorporate these methods that I'm about to lay out. For starters, as I've said previously, asking for 10 plus aliens is way too unrealistic, from a character modeling, moveset, and voice actor perspective. Sure, we want Ben 10 to be in the game, but we're gonna have to make sacrifices to make it more plausible. So on that note, my suggestion will involve playing as Ben Tennyson, 3 of his aliens, and perhaps a 4th non-playable alien just for an ultimate attack animation. Here's how it'd work. By default, you will start the match as Ben Tennyson. Ideally, it would be Omniverse Ben for a number of reasons. For one, having Omniverse Ben would be the true representation for the fans. It's easy to just say, well, the classic Ben is the most iconic, or the reboot one is the most recent and familiar with younger audiences. Simply having Omniverse Ben would be going the extra mile to respect Ben 10 as a whole, in my opinion. Omniverse Ben is Ben Prime at the end of his 4-series-long journey, and would be a true treat for the fans to see Ben at his highest development alongside other WB properties. It would also expand the possible alien transformations we can use, as Omniverse Ben has access to every alien his previous iterations had. Plus, Yuri Lowenthal has been very vocal about his passion for the role of Ben Tennyson, and I'm sure he would love to come back and record lines for the game. So let's get to the gameplay. You start the match as Ben, and you can move around and jump once, and he will still remain human. Assuming, like Smash, you have at least 2 attacks, you can press each attack once, and Ben will still remain human. This is to showcase Ben Tennyson as his own character, and to give Yuri Lowenthal more time to have his voice incorporated before transforming. Now, how will you have access to aliens? Well, I feel like having a whole separate mechanic for switching between aliens would not only overcomplicate the controls, but would probably be used exclusively for Ben and no other character in the game. So it wouldn't be worth creating a whole system for transformation. Instead, we're going to take a page from Cartoon Network's old Smash-inspired game, Punch Time Explosion, where Ben automatically transforms just by using his combos. When you start the game as a human, if you punch once, you're still Ben. But once you punch twice and start using combos, that is when you activate your first alien. My personal choice for this would be Wrath. While 4 Arms may be the obvious choice, Wrath is a huge fan favorite in the Ben 10 community, and is even a favorite of many cast and crew that worked on the show. Plus, they already have John DiMaggio voicing Jake the dog, who is also the voice of Wrath. Wrath also canonically has names for a lot of his moves, which gives the developers more reference for what voice lines to give John and what moves to program for Wrath.
Polaris pile driver! Antarian armbar! Serious butt kicking!
Ideally, Wrath would be used for close combat. You will need to be very close to your opponent for you to make contact and do damage. Just to recap, as Ben, 1 punch will keep you human, but 2 or more punches automatically transforms you into Wrath. However, unlike Punch Time Explosion, where once you finish your combo, you switch back to Ben, here, once you transform into Wrath, you will remain as Wrath. This will have no gameplay advantage and just be for aesthetic fun. After becoming Wrath, you can then move around and jump once, and you will still remain Wrath. Repeating the same attack combos that you used to originally transform into Wrath will keep you as Wrath. Again, whether or not you're moving around and jumping as Ben or Wrath will have no gameplay advantage, to make things fair. But does this mean that once you transform into an alien, you can never transform back to Ben? Well, I thought of that too. Assuming there will be some form of guarding mechanic, whether it be a shield or a block, using your guard will transform you back to human. From there, you can once again move around and jump once and remain human. You can start using your combos again to transform back to Wrath. So far, we've only covered one type of attack, and again, using the flexibility of vague assumptions, and you have at least 2 different attacks, the other attack will give you access to your second alien transformation, in which I would suggest Feedback. Feedback is another significant staple of the franchise and is also voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, which keeps things within the same pool of available voice actors. As Wrath will be used for close-ranged attacks, Feedback will be used for long range. Once you start using combos with your second attack button and switch to Feedback, you will be able to shoot electricity at a fair range. Alternatively, perhaps he can use his long tendrils as whips to still attack with a longer range than Wrath, if shooting electricity across the map wouldn't work for MultiVersus. And just like Wrath, once you activate Feedback's combo, you will remain as Feedback as long as you only walk, jump once, or use Feedback's attack button. As Feedback, Using Wrath's combo will automatically switch you to Wrath, and vice versa. You may have noticed that I have been continuously emphasizing that you can only jump once to remain human or whatever alien you currently are. That's because double jumping will automatically transform you into your third and final playable alien. I am at a three-way tie between either Astrodactyl, Big Chill, or Jet Ray. The biggest hurdle here is that none of these aliens are voiced by anyone currently in the available pool of voice actors so far. So unless the developers are either working with D. Bradley Baker for another character, or are willing to hire him specifically for Ben's aliens, this transformation will most likely have to be voiced by a substitute, but I believe that's a fair sacrifice. Once you double jump, you will transform into your flying alien. Let's continue to use Astrodactyl as our example for now. There are many ways to go about using this alien that will entirely depend on whatever the mechanics for the game will be. Perhaps this alien will be able to repeatedly jump fly, like Kirby, or once you double jump, you'll hold the jump button and slowly glide down at an angle. Additionally, if you double jump and become Astrodactyl and then attack in mid-air, you can use his energy whip to attack nearby opponents below you. Using this attack once will force you to land, as being able to attack yet still remain in the air is too much of an advantage. And continuing what we have going for Wrath and Feedback, you will remain Astrodactyl after you land, and you can move and now jump freely to remain Astrodactyl. Using either of your attack buttons while on the ground will switch you to the corresponding alien, and using your guard will transform you back to Ben. Assuming there's an ultimate move, this can be entirely up to the developers on what it will exactly do. But whatever it is, I believe it should either involve Atomics, who again is voiced by John DiMaggio, or Alien X, who is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. These are two of Ben's most powerful transformations and deserve the glory of being whatever Ben's ultimate attack results in. Now, I don't have movesets for every single control, mostly because I don't know what the controls are gonna be. But with what I described so far, I believe I've solved the issue for how to incorporate Ben's transformations in the most effective way possible while still being fair gameplay. But as my final suggestion, I'd like to talk about how you can handle alternative costumes. Now, because asking for 5 different models just for one character is quite a large order, I think we should go very easy on the alternative costumes. For one, the alternative costumes can't affect the aliens whatsoever. That way, the developers won't have to make 5 new models for every single skin. With that in mind, all of the skins will have to be deviations from Omniverse Ben, rather than things like Classic Ben, Reboot Ben, or Gwen 10, as those would require changing the alien skins as well if they want to maintain accuracy. For the first skin, my suggestion will be Ben with his signature white hoodie. Ben wears this hoodie in a handful of episodes and is enough to be a very recognizable and satisfying skin. It's distinct enough from his shirt to be a worthy slot in the alternative skin roster, and they would only have to model a hoodie onto Ben's existing model, and none of his aliens will need to be changed either. The second is Ben with his Alien Force jacket. Luckily, we already know what Omniverse Ben looks like with this jacket. So like the hoodie, you would just be modeling the jacket and attaching it to Omniverse Ben's model, and then changing the color of his shirt to be black and his brown pants to green. If the developers would like to, they could change his hair as well, but it's not exactly necessary. And again, this skin will not affect his aliens either. The third and final skin will be albedo colors. This would be a simple recolor, and they can either do it to the regular Omniverse model, or if they made his Alien Force skin, change those colors too, as both versions of albedo have been seen in the show. And yes, while he does have slightly different hair, I would be fine with just keeping his normal hair and turning it white to make things easy. And while this doesn't have to affect his aliens, this skin could at least change the color of the alien's eyes and Omnitrix badge, and desaturate the colors a little bit, just like the show does, which wouldn't require any additional modeling at all, just some quick color swaps. In conclusion, I believe Ben should moderately be playable on his own, with at least 3 different alien transformations based on your combos: a close range, a long range, and a flight alien. and a final 4th alien just for an ultimate move, with relatively easy alternative costumes. My suggestions were Wrath, Feedback, and Astrodactyl, but what would be your suggestions? What aliens would you pick? Do you also think it's worth trying to squeeze in 1 or 2 more aliens somehow? Let me know in the comments down below. That's about all I have to say on this matter. So, MultiVersus developers, if you're watching this, I'd like to speak on behalf of the Ben 10 community to emphasize how important it would be for us to have them included in the game. I put this video together to not simply tell y'all what to do, as I'm clearly not a video game developer, and I'm sure there's still countless factors you would need to consider if you were to actually include Ben in the game. But I hope that this video may inspire you to consider it more realistically, and more importantly, in a way that would truly satisfy the fans and represent Ben 10 in the most accurate and fulfilling way. As for everyone else, if you'd like to help support my campaign, please use the Ben 10 for MultiVersus hashtag on Twitter, and feel free to retweet one of my edits too, or join the official MultiVersus Discord server and post Ben 10 in their character wishlist section, which will be linked down below. Remember, be vocal but respectful. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And as always, keep it fizzy.